Break, what's going on, man? Uh, Not a lot going on in the sports world other than the NBA tipped off last night. A couple of exciting matchups according to the NBA. OKC opened up their defense of the championship by knocking off Kevin Durant and the newly rebuilt Rockets in double overtime. So that's an exciting start to the NBA season. And I give them their credit for starting the season, but that's about as far as it goes with me. Um, but yeah, Houston lost in double overtime, and then the Lakers they got beat by the Warriors. Um, I don't know how much you can take of that because LeBron James is dealing with some kind of sciatica or something like that. So I don't know how long that's going to sideline him. But in my little ride share, I picked up a couple of people with sciatica problems, and they were in bad shape, man. And so I don't know if this is the beginning of the end for LeBron or sciatica is something that can be cured. But from the way I see these people with sciatica that I know of, they don't do too good when they get that kind of thing. So, but still, he's what's this his 23rd year deal with something like that. I guess it's minor. He's got the treatment, the money to get the kind of treatment he needs. So I don't suspect that to hold him back too much. But we'll see. But kudos to the NBA. But that's pretty much all I got to say about them for now. It's not worthy of spending too much time on that because, like I tell you guys before, basketball, baseball, all that's something to do until football comes back around. And that is certainly the case right now. Uh, I put a odd chat in there. May seem like it's odd break. I don't know if you know what's going on. Let's talk about some other things going on in the world besides football because you don't have much going on right now. The words about the super churches, they keep asking more and more and more of their members to give, and those on the outside can't seem to tell what they're giving for. As far as I know, that you go to church and you give what you can give, um, and you give it based on your heart. Now it seems that these churches are requiring that members give up to a certain limit, and if you don't give enough, you get shamed. Such is the point is this guy Marvin winans video going around. He's got some promotion, whatever they're trying to raise money for. They say we want you to give $1,000 plus one. In other words, you go get somebody else and they bring $1,000. So that means the church is going to get 2,000. But this lady, she didn't have a plus one, but she did have her $1,000 plus 235 more bucks. Well, he pretty much embarrassed the lady. He said, "That's not what I asked for." He still took the money, but he's basically saying you didn't do what the Lord asked you to do. So my question is, when is enough enough? Um, but then what's puzzling about it, these churches keep growing because it's more like a status symbol, like going to the club, being at the place to be. And these churches now like that seem to be the place to be. And everybody's running over each other, trying to outdo each other. And pastors, they benefit from it. What does the congregation get? What are the pastors getting? Well, last I checked, they buying big houses, big cars, jets, and everything else, all on the backs of the flock. So you think about that. That's all I'm going to say about that. Other than how much is enough for church members they should have to give. You know what? Let me change that around. Question really be, how much should get? How much? Go ahead and get rid of that. I don't know how to get rid of it, so yeah, I just get rid of it. But anyway, let's talk a little football, man. Um, Need to get rid of it. I don't know how to do it. So what's going on, Break? I know your Jets are making news lately. They're gonna bench Justin Fields and gonna go with Tyrod Taylor. Good move or no? Well, I'm kind of disappointed because I thought Justin Fields was going to be a better player than what he's shown. Um, he is showing me that he's not an NFL quarterback. He can run, he can make some plays every now and then, but like I tell you guys before, you got to stand in there and throw the ball. And when he doesn't have a running game, um, he can't play. And it's the same thing with all these other running quarterbacks. If they can't run the football and they're forced to stand back there and throw, it becomes problematic. But Fields is so bad that I don't even think he's registering a quarterback rating. So the owners come out and say, well, we're not going to fire Aaron Glenn because the quarterback play has been so bad. You cannot expect the coach to do much when you have such poor performance from the quarterback position. So that's pretty much slamming Justin Fields, and it's pretty much telling Glenn that you got to make a change. Because if you don't make a change, now I'm going to start looking at you different. And it's kind of the same kind of thing that's going on in Miami. They asked Mike McDaniel, what do the team need to do? Will they start Tua? He said, yeah, Tua's going to be the starting quarterback, and what he needs to do, what we need to do as a team is pretty much play good football and don't throw 10 interceptions. So basically, he threw 200 the bus because he's been backing Tua all along, and Tua, he keeps doing stuff that's detrimental to the team. A couple of weeks ago, he came out and spoke about behind the scenes information from the Jets, where these guys, locker room stuff. He pretty much telling the people that they don't show up for the meetings, and he's trying to leave, but they won't follow. But then he gets out on the field after calling the players out, and he throws 3 interceptions. He's thrown 6 interceptions in the last 2 games alone. So McDaniels came out and hit him with a sarcastic remark. Yeah, you're going to be a quarterback, but you can't throw 10 interceptions. So he's letting Tua know that your time is about up. Now, I've been backing you and backing you and backing you, but I can't back you much longer because your play is not standing up. So what they're considering, or the talk now about the Dolphins, is that they're going to do the same thing that the Broncos did when they had Russell Wilson. Sean Payton never wanted Russell Wilson, so he mistreated the man that whole last year. But his plan was to have Russell take that first season from what's his name, Bo Nix. He was going to leave Bo Nix, and then when Bo Nix was ready, and they were going to get rid of Wilson and just throw Nix out there just to see what he'd do. And sure enough, it seemed to be working out for the Broncos, and the Dolphins probably going to take a similar approach. They're going to take Tua, and they're going to draft a young quarterback, let him come in there, get a year under the ropes, and then turn him out there and get rid of Tua and that big salary he has. But the question is, who's going to want him with the way he's playing? I think sometimes these guys get to making that money, and they start to get comfortable, and they don't think they have to put the work in, and then they play torpedoes. Right now, you see it happening with Tua. I believe that's happening with Brian Thomas down here in Jacksonville, and it's happened to a lot of players. And what he's going to have to do, he's going to have to refocus and get himself together. Otherwise, he's going to be out of the league. And it's just, what is this? Something you can't believe is real, whatever that is. I don't know what I'm doing here. So forget that. All right. All right, there it is. All right. All right. Break says the Jets was a playoff team. All the games they played were winnable games. Player Fields set the Jets behind. Man, you well wishing now. Now you sounded like a fan there, Break. When were the Jets ever a playoff team? They were a playoff team 2 years ago when they first caught Aaron Rodgers, but you guys are snake bitten. I think if Rodgers doesn't get hurt, then the Jets would have had a pretty good team. They had a good defense, and that same team came back last year thinking they were going to have better results. Rodgers still threw for 3,500 yards, and they weren't a playoff team then. So I think the window for the Jets, they should have broke that team up the same year that Rodgers got hurt, because it had been quite the same then. Now the defense is still playing well, and yes, Fields is slowing that team down. They would have several wins now if Fields would just play better, but it just don't seem to be for the Jets. And unfortunately for them, they have to look across the other side of the field over there, because you know that they said that they share the same field with the Giants. Putting in Jackson Dart was a huge shot in the arm for the Giants, and they can only wonder what can we do as a Jets franchise to get some energy like what's going on over with the Giants. The Giants still lost, and they're still going to continue to lose. But the energy that Dart is bringing is unmistakable, and they're going to build around that young guy, and they're going to be a pretty formidable team for the next couple of years. So I don't know what the Jets are going to do. Okay, Break, you brought up Kyler Murray. I heard somebody say that they should trade for Kyler Murray and ship Fields down to Arizona. I don't think that's going to work either. Trading one bad apple for another. I think Murray, his problem is he's used to winning. He's kind of like a spoiled crybaby in a lot of ways. If things don't go his way, he's going to throw a fit. And he's a great athlete, can throw the football, but just like Dylan Gabriel, a lot of his passes get swatted down. And that's a problem when you have to absolutely stand in there to make a play. You wonder if he can get the ball over the line of scrimmage. And I'm not sure he can. So we'll see how that goes. Chris Bristol, how you doing, man? Ain't seen you in a while. Be like Break. You slip in and you slip out. But I caught Break earlier today, so I'm going to rap with him. Something else I want to talk about. Can't remember what it was. I can't think of it right now, but it'll come to me right before I get off. But you got the trade deadline coming up in 2 weeks. Who do you think you should trade for if you're a Jets fan? I think you need to get better at the quarterback play. Maybe you should get a little bit of offensive line help, and if you can get some more points produced offensively, then I think the Jets should be able to pull off a couple wins before the year is over with. Houston lost 6 weeks. I don't know what you're trying to say there. It's about time. All right. Bye. Breece Hall, he's not a bad running back. I don't have a problem with him. I think you have to have a quarterback that can stand in there and throw it. And a good quarterback, his best friend is a running game. And that's part of the question I asked earlier. Is Daniel Jones worthy of leading a team like the Colts? I mean, he's pretty much cast off from the Giants. They sent him over to Minnesota, but they had a log jam of quarterbacks, and Sam Bradford Darnold was playing well. There's no reason for him to be benched in favor of somebody that just came in. So they had to break all that quarterback room up, and he ended up with a contract to go down with the Colts. Now, that's all opened up by the poor play of Anthony Richardson, just like Justin Fields. So you had to know when Jones went to the Colts, he's got $14 million. I do believe he's making more money than Anthony Richardson. So who do you think the owners are going to pay first? Play first. They play the guy that's making the most money. So it was never a surprise that Richardson got benched. I was surprised that he got drafted so high, and I've been quite vocal about that, and he's backed up everything I said. Hey, he looks the part, but hell, he's not playing anywhere near the part. But when you bring in Jones, who I never thought was a bad quarterback, it's just that they lost a couple games in a row, and the fans started to turn on the player, and they do that a lot in New York. And this is the reason why fans shouldn't have anything to do with decisions that teams make. Yeah, you want to listen to what they say, you want to get a feel for what's going on, but you, as the general managers, you are put into position to make knowledgeable decisions to advance your franchise. And going on the knee-jerk reaction of a New York crowd, of all crowds, only thing probably more volatile than the New York crowd is the Philadelphia crowd. And they have these knee-jerk reactions and they get rid of the quarterback. So he goes somewhere and now he's playing well. And the reason he's playing well because he's got a good running game. Jonathan Taylor's got what? He's averaging about 100 yards a game, if not more. I got to check the actual stats on that. But as long as he's able to run the football and Jones is able to hit some timely passes, then the Colts are going to be hard to beat. Right now, people think that the Colts are the best team in the league. I haven't seen a whole Colts game to be able to make an assumption like that. Plus, it usually takes me 7 or 8 weeks before I can tell you who the best team is. And I'm almost there. I like to see the Colts. I see that the Chiefs they're getting better offensively. The defense was never bad. Baltimore, they're going the wrong direction. Pittsburgh, I'm worried about Pittsburgh because they don't have another receiver on the other side of Metcalf. This guy, Calvin Austin, is supposed to be the number 2 receiver. But from what I've seen from him, you can't depend on him. And they got those tight ends there. They help them out a lot, but they still need another receiver to kind of open things up, kind of like what you're seeing in Dallas. I thought the Dallas offensively could score 28 points a game after acquiring Pickens, and you saw how deadly they can be with the game they played with Washington the other day. But even with that, it still took a lot of help from the defense to reach that 40-point mark. Therefore, if you're a Cowboys fan, you can't get excited about the Cowboys scoring that many points. And the defense still ain't that good. And yeah, you slowed Washington down, but Washington didn't have any starting receivers the other day. And they knocked the quarterback out, and Mariota comes in. You put a hit on him, and you don't get enough on the ball, and they step in front of one, go back the other way. You can't depend on that. That's fool's gold. So Cowboys, they ain't one of the top teams. Washington is degraded. Baltimore is degraded. Kansas City is improving. Pittsburgh got question marks, even though I knew they were going to lose one of those 2 games, either to Cleveland or Cincinnati, because that's just what Pittsburgh does. They've done that over the years. Like I said, I've been watching them for 40 years. I told you guys if you want to make some money, bet against Pittsburgh. So some of you guys actually made some money based on what I said, even though I can't bet and win a thing. But that's another story. All right. Colts got a football organization. I don't know, Break. They always had questions about the way they run that franchise. You know, Mel Kiper Jr., he's famous for that draft thing when you're talking about how the Colts keep making these mistakes. And Irsay came down and checked it right on national TV, you know, talking about our team. You know what the hell you talking about? Who is Mel Kiper Jr. is what he said. So that was pretty interesting. And the fact that Irsay died and left his daughters, they got a fresher viewpoint on the way things are. And they're trying to do things a little bit different. And maybe that has something to do with it. So I guess you can say the organization is good enough for worthy of a turnaround. But I always like Irsay. I find out that, you know, when he goes to used to go to those road games. Like he came to Jacksonville one time, and lady working in the hotel, you know, on the cleaning staff, he just rolled up to her and hand her an envelope full of money. And I thought that was great. And these ladies, she's not expecting us, she's just doing a job, and all of a sudden this guy comes up and give her a whole bunch of money. Told her who he was, and it just went from there. And then I thought that was great. So ever since I found out about that, I was crazy about Irsay. I like people like that with all the money that they can use. They can turn around and help somebody instead of walking around with their nose all up in the air like they inhuman or something. But Jones, I think as long as he keep making those timely passes and Taylor is going to run the football, they're going to be one of the top teams in the league. But I still don't think they can beat Kansas City. Based on what I see, I don't think they can beat Pittsburgh. Baltimore, once they get healthy, you know, they're going to be dangerous too, to a certain extent, if they can cover up some of the holes in that boat, all the defense they got. And Colts got a long way to go. If they're able to maintain it and get to the playoffs, 3 or 4 losses, then yeah, you could say the Colts are one of the best teams in the league. But they got a tough schedule. They got to play the Chiefs. It's going to be rough on them. And the Chargers, people were getting excited because they beat Kansas City early in the year. But you see what's happening to them. They're going the other way, man. So I just don't think maybe they can come back. Houston, they're not going to do anything. Jacksonville, iffy. You hit the guys right in the hand, they don't catch it. And then when you don't hit them in the hand, you're making bad throws. So I don't know what the hell Jacksonville problem is. We'll see. All right. See what is here. Okay, Daniel first, Saquon, the Giants paid Jones. That's why the fans turned on Daniel Jones. I don't know. I think that the league put the image out there that the running backs don't deserve to get paid like a quarterback. They feel like the quarterback is everything. I mean, the quarterbacks have to process a lot of information in a very short period of time, and it's more reacting than thinking. You have to know the game before things take place. That's why they put all those hours watching film and installing the game plan. They already have all these different if this, then that kind of things in their mind when they get to the game. So it's just a matter of the quarterback executing. So I understand why the quarterback is valuable. If you don't have a backup when your main guy gets hurt, then you really see the value of a quarterback. But the true value of football, I don't give a damn if it's 2185. If they're still playing football, the essence of football is to run the ball. If you cannot run the ball, you can't play. You can't sit back there and throw the ball every single down. I told you about this high school coach that tells me that it is an insult or a give up if they resorted to a primarily running offense. I still hadn't figured out what kind of planet this guy's coming from. Here you are, a head coach, when you tell me that running the football is something wrong with that. Many teams I've seen win championships by bulldozing people running the football, but that's a give up. I think what it is, and I figured it out, these high school coaches, they've been growing up playing John Madden. They can go throw, and the offense never gets tired. And when they don't score, their defense never gets tired. So they feel like they can transfer that to real life. You tell me what sense that makes. And he's rolling with it. He's going to die with it because they ain't won a game this year. And the way it's going, they ain't going to win a game. So he might be on the sideline with me next year. The man come to me, ask me if I want to be the head coach. That'd be the only way I do it. I ain't applying for nothing because these guys here, they can get a job because they got one thing on their resume that I don't. And then you go watch him, you wonder how the hell did he get a job when you don't know what the hell he's doing. If you don't have a quarterback can't throw, why would you throw 4 or 5 wide receivers? You got a center that can't get the ball back to the quarterback, your timing is off. How are you going to run a spread offense? But you still stick with that. Even the worst center in the world can get the ball up to a guy under center. Run the football. That's the key to all of that, but they don't see it that way. It's the John Madden era. And that's the only thing I can come up with. Front row at the fight, how you doing, man? Did somebody say the coach? Well, I'm here. You're damn right we're the best. But week one at a time. Well, I'll tell you what, front row, you better keep that seat. Because sometimes in a fight, look like, you win the early rounds and teams started adjusting. And then you get hit with a cross, and now you ain't been hit all year. Now we're going to see how you react. So you lost that game to the Broncos that you should have won. That was a crack in your armor there. Maybe you learned from that. But, you think you're the best? I like you guys, these fans, because every time you get a little positivity, you just go overboard. That's why they call fans, because that is short for fanatics. And you guys get fanatical when you win a game. Are the Colts one of the best teams in the league? Absolutely, right now. But are they the best team in the league? Absolutely not. And if you ain't tighten up, you might not even make the playoffs. But the real test to see if the Colts have turned the corner is when they come to Jacksonville. As you know, they've lost like 10 straight in Jacksonville, and they got that Jacksonville curse hanging over them. And if you don't know what I mean by that, they dangled the franchise to bring them down to Jacksonville in '79, got all these people excited. And we pulled the rug on them because he's trying to get a better deal to go somewhere else. They didn't get the deal in Baltimore, so overnight they packed up and moved to Indianapolis like 4 years later in '83. But one thing it did do, it put the Jacksonville team on the radar, which led them to getting the Jaguars after they had that USFL team, the Jacksonville Bulls. So actually the Colts actually did the city of Jacksonville a favor, but at the same time, that curse lingers against the Colts here. So if they can come in and whoop Jacksonville, then you can see that the Colts franchise has actually made a turnaround. But right now, I don't see it front row. Nobody's scared of the Chiefs. The biggest challenges will be the Steelers and Seattle. Well, Seattle, you don't have to worry about Seattle. That's on the other side now. They're in the NFC. You won't see them unless you can make the Super Bowl. And Pittsburgh, they got the propensity to BS. So that's a team you can beat if you're really that good. But only time will tell. But I appreciate you stopping in and hollering at me, front row. Like and subscribe, and I'll be on in the morning, if not later on today. JC, how you doing, man? Jones is thriving in Indy, but couldn't play for the Giants. Different environment. No, I think he just came along at the wrong time. And same thing as Tom Thibodeau. When the New York fans turn against you, they turn against you. And then the owners make a knee-jerk reaction to that. When Jones actually wasn't that bad of a quarterback. He had a couple good years there. But, to say that he all of a sudden couldn't play anymore, that's garbage. But Jones has a lot of that going in his favor because over the history of the NFL, there's been several players that got cast off like Jones and turn around and have a great career. Jim Plunkett won a Super Bowl with the Raiders after being cast aside in New England. So it happens all the time. So if I'm Jones, I wouldn't care. Just like if I'm Billy Napier down here getting fired with the Florida Gators, they got to pay the man $21 million. With half of that due within 30 days. So Napier's going to have a very good Thanksgiving and a very good Christmas, even though he lost his job, and he's going to sign on with somebody else and get paid there too. So if I'm a head coach, fire me. I wouldn't give a damn long as the check come on time because I know I can get me another job. But anyway, I'm going to leave that one. Sam, how are you doing, man? You turning into your break. Old break showing up early now, and you showing up late just as I'm about to get off. I got to go to work, man. I just want to come on and see what people had to say about who's the best team in the NFL right now. And Colts fans are excited. I see you got a new guy on here, front row at the fight. He's saying that damn right they're the best. Well, I think some other teams got something to say about that. I'm happy for the Colts. Like I said, I like the owner. He used to give away big money to strangers just out of the blue, unsolicited. That's great to me. And ever since then, I like him. And his daughters, they've been innovative. They got headphones on, listening to what's going on, trying to figure out, I think, what's going on, how to run football and what's really taking place behind the scenes. So basically what they're doing is educating themselves. But at the same time, they're being innovative. Because, if Jerry Jones sees something like that, just a matter of time before he starts putting headphones on to spy or listen to what's going on with the play calling and things like that. He probably mad because he didn't come up with that idea himself. But I like the Colts. They're going to be around a while. And I still think if you want to get to the Super Bowl, it's going to have to go through Allegheny County to see what's going on. I'm happy for Jones. I'm a Giants fan. Every player's not built for New York. No, they're not. But New York, they ain't the be all end all. Even in basketball, they ain't the be all end all no more. Everything is expanded out, and they're not the center of everything anymore. So those people, they still think that, but it ain't that way anymore. Like the movie Every Given Sunday, you're right. And sometimes it goes your way, sometimes it don't. Colts been having a rough couple of years. Now things are going their way, so maybe they do. But let's see how it turns out in the end. But anyway, I got to get up out of here, man. I appreciate you guys hollering at me. If you're brand new, like and subscribe. You can catch me on during the week, about 6:30 every morning. Unless there's some breaking news or come back in the morning. Weekends, usually around 11 o'clock. And we talk some pro football. I got a lot of college stuff going on. People are starting to get fired now. This is firing season. And who knows who's going to be fired? If here now, people in Tennessee, they don't like Josh Heupel. They think he's going to be the next James Franklin because he can't win the big game. That's not good when they hang that label on you. If I Philip Fulmer, then shit, they should have kept Fulmer. They probably would have never lost track if they hadn't. But he wouldn't change. And Dabo Swinney, he don't want to change. And he might be next. So a lot of potential firings on the board, and we're just going to listen to it and see how it goes. But anyway, you guys have a great day. Michael Wentz, how you doing? Football is important, much more important than any other sport. That's why I tell you guys all the time, and it's a great place to lead. I don't care about the baseball World Series starting, basketball started last night. Yeah, all that's great. But in the end, it's not as important as football. Everything else is just something to do until football comes back around. Even in Game 7 of the World Series, we'll be talking more about football than baseball. So take that with you. Have a great day. It's been Sports for Real. And got to go to work, man. So I'm out.